this is the day. We will know a whole lot by the time the dust settles.
Everything matters. That's where we win right here. Not on the field.
But where we want to be at the end of the season starts with our mentality and our attention to detail today.
The countdown to kickoff continues to inch closer between Penn State and Indiana. Welcome into the weekly game preview brought to you by PSECU. I'm your host, Mitch Gerber. Coming up on today's show, we'll hear from head coach James Franklin as he addresses the local media. We'll also go one-on-one with Penn State tight end redshirt freshman Tyler Warren, and of course we'll break down this matchup between Penn State and Indiana with the voice of Penn State football, Steve Jones. Now first, let's take a look at how Penn State got to their 4-0 record on the season with a win over Villanova. 38-17 was the final score in that one last week, and as we pick things up in the first quarter, this is the first offensive play for Penn State, a 52-yard connection, 8-second drive on the first play on offense for Penn State. Clifford to Dotson, 6 straight games for Jahan Dotson with a touchdown this season. Now here we are towards the end of the first quarter with just a few seconds remaining. This is a nice connection with the tight end, a Saquon type leap right there for tight end Theo Johnson. Picking things up now in the second quarter, 14-15 left on the clock. A nice scoring play right here from Parker Washington to finally get in the end zone this season. That was a 52-yard connection, his first TD reception from Sean Clifford this season. Back here in the second quarter, 10 minutes left on the clock. Parker Washington doing his thing once again, just barely stepped out of bounds on this play right here. Going to get a good replay right there. Just steps out with the left foot. Penn State would capitalize with 3 on the board. 17-3 contest at that point in time. Turn things over from halftime. Here we are in the third quarter. Clifford finding Keandre Lambert-Smith with a 83-yard touchdown reception. The first touchdown of the season for Lambert-Smith and the 6th longest pass play in Penn State's history as those two connect for an electric play. 24-3 at that point in time, and here is Tig coming up with his second interception of the year. Jair Brown with a good defensive play there. Good breakup, too, by Castro Fields on that one. Then Ebiketie, who continues to be a dominant force in that backfield for Penn State, coming up with a sack here. Another one on his tally for the 2021 season. Third quarter, 2:04 left on the clock. Parker Washington with his second touchdown reception on the day. That makes it 31-3 in this contest with 1:58 left in the third quarter. And then here we are in the fourth quarter with Tyler Warren, his second rushing touchdown of the season, as we will visit with the redshirt freshman tight end here momentarily, just after we hear from head coach James Franklin. Fast start to this preview show as we now welcome in Steve Jones, second person to our broadcast team. Here we go, Steve. Another week, another opportunity for Penn State to play inside Beaver Stadium, the 4th consecutive week that they'll be in their home confine. What are you looking forward to with this one?
Well, look, I'm looking forward, obviously, the crowd being back in there for another night game. A fabulous matchup with Indiana. Obviously, when you look at, Michael Penix is really the key to what makes them go. Stephen Carr, the transfer, here's a touchdown pass he's going to throw here. Stephen Carr, the transfer out of USC, has given their running game some jump, and Carr has been really good for them. And they've done a lot with transfers in this program. But Carr is a guy that can be elusive, averaging 3.9 yards a carry to this point, but he's the one that makes the running game go for them. And that's a big element of what they do. Peyton Hendershot is another guy. He is captain dependable for Penix because his ability to throw the ball to him, he's the bailout guy. And, he had 100 yards receiving against Western Kentucky on Saturday night. And Ty Freifogel's another guy that had a big game. Freifogel had a great season last year. He's had a little up and down season to this point. He struggled a bit at times with catching the ball. You watch him on Saturday night, he had 97 yards in receptions, but you could tell he was really trying to secure the catch. and wasn't thinking as much about yards after the catch. So we'll see what that does for his confidence. Defensively, Michael McFadden, 47 is fabulous. And a guy that doesn't get enough credit is the guy next to him, Cam Jones. Number 4, really good player. So James is talking to the media now.
Let's hear what head coach James Franklin has to say.
Hey, you unleash them in practice and they sprint like they got it. Bring them into here and they're just slowly
Hey, slide that one.
So as we await head coach James Franklin to address the local media as they're filing in, Steve and I can see directly over our right shoulder what that looks like. There is a jugs machine, so you're going to hear some of that boom, boom in the background. That's a jugs machine going for some Penn State players, getting some extra reps in after practice.
But those are the extras, Mitch, that are being stressed around here. Look, get on that jugs machine.
Sometimes
Let's hear from head coach James Franklin.
I like to watch the tape first, but I thought overall Sunday and Tuesday were really good.
James, what have you seen from Michael Penix on film so far this season? Does he look like the same quarterback that you saw last year?
Yeah, obviously a really talented guy. Can flick the ball, can throw from non-traditional platforms, is extremely accurate, especially under duress. I'm talking about looking at his whole body of work. Obviously, he's athletic. He's made some plays with his feet as well. I think he's been a big part of their success, but I would also say it's not like it's a one-man show. They proved last year, even in the last couple of years, when he gets injured, they're still able to make it work. So hats off to them. Obviously, he's had some challenging situations and injuries as well, but I do believe, that those things have made him mentally and physically tough too.
James, Akeem Beeman was one of your D-Team Players of the Week last week. What did he do? How has he kind of embraced the role that he's dealing with now? And just because it's something I think we have to ask every now and then, do you foresee him contributing this season?
Yeah, I got no problem with you asking. I got no problem at all with you asking. No, he'll be unavailable. Be unavailable this week and this season. I think at practice, Hakeem loves football. So at practice, he's always good because he loves to play football. But he will be unavailable this week, and he will be unavailable for the season. So you guys don't have to keep asking me each week.
James, you have a really deep tight end group, and it seems like you trust Tyler Warren a lot. What more would you like to see from him in order to start maybe get some more snaps?
Is there something going on with the product, the amount of product that we're using in our hair right now? Is there something with you guys got going on? I see a lot more slick back. I'm jealous. I'll be honest with you. It's not like I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm jealous. I wish I could use product like that. But what was your question again?
You have a deep tight end. You've got a really deep tight end group, and Tyler Warren seems like a guy you guys are trusting in big situations.
Yeah.
What more would you like to see from him to potentially, get some more snaps?
Yeah, it's really not about Tyler. We want to rotate all three of those guys. Right now, he's third on the depth chart of three really talented guys. There's not a situation that we would be uncomfortable putting Tyler in the game. I don't think there's a significant gap between the three of them. We think we can play all three of them and are comfortable doing it in any situation. Obviously, you got Brent, who's played a lot of football. You got Theo, that has had a chance to play some football last year, and Tyler is getting his first game experience. But he's a poised guy. He's a confident guy. He's athletic. It's a strong room, and we're pleased with Khalil right now. Khalil's doing some good things for our future as well. So it's a strong room. We want to continue building on it.
Hey, James, Mike McFadden's a guy who's played a lot of football for Indiana. He had 12 tackles last week against Western Kentucky. What are you seeing from him on film and game planning too?
Yeah, just a super talented guy, very productive, and not just in the traditional ways that linebackers are used. I think last year for the season he led him in sacks as well. Obviously, them losing him, I think it was against Cincinnati, on the targeting penalty was a significant loss for them in the game. He's the quarterback of their defense, and he's highly productive. So, talented guy in the run game, talented guy in the pass game. I also think he's kind of an emotional kind of leader, kind of the heart and soul of the defense as well, and probably with the team. But very, very impressive young man.
I would say technically, shaving cream is a product.
That's a fair point.
But
fair point. And I go through a lot of it.
Yeah, but you talk about downs where everyone says you're going to run. So it's 3rd and 1. Why do you have to run on 3rd and 1? I mean, what is the rule or the statistic in football that says 3rd and 1 you have to run? I mean, could you play a whole season and just throw it? What is the theology behind that?
Yeah, it's having the. To me, balance isn't running 50% of the time. I've said this to you guys before, and passing 50% of the times. It's having the ability to run when you choose to and be effective at it. I think more times than not, you'd love to be able to run it on 3rd and 1. It's also a great opportunity if you're in plus territory that you're going to go for. It's a great down to take a shot. So no, there's no rule that says you have to run it on 3rd and 1. But it sure does make it nice when you have the ability to do it in the low red zone or in short yardage situations like it. But there's no rule. There's no rule whatsoever. But I want to have the ability to do it, and I want Mike to have the confidence when he calls it, it's going to be executed.
James, a couple years ago, we talked about the fact that early in the season it was rare for you to see a 3-down front or a 3-4 team. The first 4 teams you played based out of that. Has something changed in college football, or is there something that's changed with that is particular to help the defense in some way?
No, I think it really just depends on what defensive family you come from, and what you believe in. It used to be something that was not very common. It's become more common. It's also obviously very popular in the NFL and has been for a number of years. But I would also say most of the people, kind of like our discussion that we had a few weeks ago about kind of the style of offense you play. It used to be kind of West Coast or spread or whatever it may be. It's the same thing with the 3-down people. Most of the 3-down people aren't just lining up in a true odd front all the time. They're getting in even spacing as well. So I do think there's a lot of flexibility that comes from a 3-down front, especially the way people are playing it nowadays. It can be difficult because it makes it very easy to bring 5, but it also can be very easy for them to get in a situation, drop 8, and have guys dropping that are used to playing the ball in space, compared to doing it from a 4-down front. So there's a lot of value in it. There really is. It's something that we always have to work on because just like I talk about our defense getting traditional old school pro style offensive looks, we got to make sure with a 4-down defense that we get enough odd work too.
James, you guys have made it pretty clear, obviously. Last week wasn't the practice week that you guys wanted at all. When you're still undefeated and you still win last week, how important is it to be able to take a message like that into a week like this when you still haven't lost the game?
Yeah, you got to address it. I think I've made the statement about being able to grow and deal with issues or challenges or areas of weakness even after a win, and be able to really emphasize it and be tough about it and be critical about it to try to get it fixed. The best teams are able to do that. They're able to grow significantly through wins, not just from a confidence standpoint, but from a correction standpoint as well. And we need to be able to do that. So we've been emphasizing that the last couple of weeks. I think we have taken some strides in some areas, and we're going to need to do it again.
James, earlier today we heard from Jesse and Sean about approaching you and the staff in the winter about ramping up the conditioning, making them feel more uncomfortable. That's their side of the story. I'm curious, do you recall that exchange during the offseason and them asking for more intensity?
No.
I
mean, it may have happened. I don't remember that. I remember talking to Nelly, our sports scientist, about changing our philosophy of running more going into camp. We used to take kind of the week off before camp starts, and it really makes no sense because now their system gets shocked dramatically when camp starts, and you have an issue with soft tissue injuries and things like that. So I'm not saying that conversation didn't happen. I don't remember it. I remember me and Nelly having a bunch of discussions with Deej about the model and what we needed to do to be best prepared for the season, things that we look at every off season about tweaking. There's things that I met with Ben, Ben about who handles all of our scripts, about some things in camp that I wanted to change about our bonus week structure before the Wisconsin game. We started with a bonus Wednesday, and I really wanted to start with a bonus Tuesday because Tuesdays are more normal downs. Wednesdays is third down and red zone, so it doesn't make sense to start your bonus week on a Wednesday, more of a Tuesday model. So just little things like that. We're always looking back and saying, hey, this is an area, that looking back at kind of an after action, review, like the military does, kind of through every stage, and make sure you're in a good spot and you're growing and making the subtle adjustments that need to be made.
James, you talked a little bit about on Saturday about using the short passing game as an extension of the running game when teams are stacking the box against you. What are some of the keys to doing that well, and you feel like you guys have done that well so far?
Yeah, actually, I said that after the game, and somebody said, well, you didn't throw the receiver screens very much. And I actually think we did. I went back and watched tape again. I thought we threw it well, especially early on. But it's about, obviously, high completion percentage. We've done this all the way back, to my time at Vanderbilt when we first got here. You got to complete it, and you should complete 100% of those. And then it allows you to be physical on the perimeter, especially, with some of the things that we're doing formationally. You got a tight end block in a corner. Sometimes a tremendous opportunity to be physical out there. Typically you're going to be, on a 2 on 1.5 or 3 on 2.5. And when I say that, a guy that's kind of split the box in the apex. But hopefully, even if you get, more of a 2 on 2 look, that you can be so physical with the 1, whoever the guy who's the most dangerous to the play. And then hopefully athletically, you have the ability to make the other guy miss. So that's a huge extension of the running game, but you got to be able to complete it, and you got to be able to get 4 to 5 yards. And every once in a while, it turns into an explosive play.
James, offensive line-wise, I know I'm asking you another offensive line question, but, how important is it just for, these guys to get acclimated to a new running scheme? I know with Coach Yersich, totally different running scheme than the one that you all ran last year, but how long do you feel like it takes them to acclimate to that throughout the season?
Yeah, again, I don't know if I would describe it as totally different. We probably were a little bit more of the 12 personnel, inside zone, cram zone, however you want to describe it, duo. But we're still kind of doing those. Maybe a little less 12 personnel, a little bit more spread. But yeah, I don't really see that as being the issue. I think, we have to be a little bit more physical. I think we got to play with a little bit more of an edge. I think we got to play to the echo of the whistle. I think we got to make sure that our pad level and our hat placement is correct. And I mean that about our tight ends as well. And I also think our running backs, there's going to be some times where it's not a clean hole. And you got to be able to lower your shoulder and run somebody over and get a dirty 4 yards. And I think the more body blows that you throw like that through a game, the explosive plays will come. But we got to be willing to stick our foot in the ground and get downhill as a runner and run people over. And we got to be able to be physical and finish blocks and make sure that we're doing a great job with our double teams. I think what Wisconsin did early on, where they were running the linebacker so aggressively through that obviously it's difficult to stay on the double teams long because they're coming down so fast. So there's a fine line in that, and I think obviously that has a kind of a hangover effect, But we want to do a great job with the down linemen, stay on the double teams as long as we possibly can, but not in a situation where we're going to allow free runners.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That's head coach James Franklin addressing the local media following Wednesday's practice here in State College. A position group that he spoke frequently about was the tight ends, as we now welcome in redshirt freshman tight end Tyler Warren. And Tyler, you've had a couple of touchdowns so far this season, but I want to go back to a point that Coach Franklin was talking about, and that was the diversity within the tight ends room, just from the skill set preference. How have you embraced your role as the tight end here at Penn State?
Oh, yeah, I think a big part of it is knowing that I got 2 good tight ends playing with me, and I get to learn from them. And so I got to know my stuff, because when one of them has to come out, that's when I got to go in. And it's like all replace each other, and learning from them has helped me a lot. It's got me a lot better over my first year being here, and I'm glad I get to work with them every day.
You were a quarterback in high school. I think some people may not know that. He was a quarterback in high school. So the adjustment to tight end here, and what has Ty Howell meant in that development as a tight end in that room?
Yeah, I think something he's done a great job of is getting us right with the run game, especially because as a tight end, that's probably not as seen as much. People don't look at it as much, but that's probably one of the more important things because a lot of times it's a key block we can make on a play to take it from a 5-yard gain to an explosive 20, 30-yard run. So definitely with the run game, and he's one of the smartest, just loves football people I've ever been around. So he's been getting us extra stuff. He's always willing to help us with something if we text him or call him. He's always going to answer and get us what we need. So he's been great.
Based off of that, how has your IQ level within the playbook improved over the course of a couple of seasons here?
Yeah, I think being a quarterback kind of helps a high school quarterback helps with going through the playbook and stuff. But especially with Ty, he gets us stuff early. He gets before other people. Sometimes dudes don't even know what's going on. We already know. So he's done a great job, and he's kept us on top of it throughout the season.
Mitch referenced the 2 touchdowns. They're both off the, quote, wildcat play where you're lining up in that quarterback spot. It's a view that obviously you had a lot of in high school. How much does it help that when you're back there that you have had that view before and thus it allows you to read what's going on?
Yeah, it was something I was used to, but at the end of the day, it's just another job I have to do because everyone's got their job. It's just another play, and I know my job and I know the people around me are going to do their jobs, and it's worked out.
I'd have to imagine the pace was moving a little bit quicker than the old high school level too on the field inside Beaver Stadium. But when Coach Franklin was talking about the depth within the tight end position room, obviously there's a very close gap between the 3 of you. How do you push each other each day of practice?
I think one, just seeing when we make plays, that's oh, he made a play, now I got to go out and make a play. And I think a big thing is that we can teach each other. So if I'm out on a play and I mess up something, I come back. It's whoever's not in for the next play. Brent or Theo's talking to me, telling me what they saw. Ty's right there with me. So I think the biggest thing that we help each other with is not push, or we push each other, but it's more we help each other a lot, and we want all of us to succeed as much as we can. I think that's a big part of it.
As you've gone through obviously weeks of practice, how much more comfortable are you, not just with the playing part and getting into games, but the practice routine and the standard that is set here?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job of getting better practices each week, and I think that's a big part. If you want to be a great team, you can't just stay at the same level throughout the season. Each week you gotta make a step, and I think that's a big thing we've embraced as a team this year, and I think it's been good.
You know, the confidence level within this program, I feel, is personally at an all-time high. From my 3 seasons of covering this football team, Steve can obviously allude to many different years, but you've also been around kind of the same amount of time. So when it comes to the confidence standpoint, how are you guys continuing to gel as a program?
Yeah, I think we're a really close team, and that definitely helps a lot. But I think something we've done a great job is preparing ourselves. So it started in the off season, in the winter, spring, summer, doing extra stuff, coming out here doing 7-on-7 whenever we can. I think Coach Franklin talks about a lot. When you're prepared, you can play confident, and I think we've done a great job of that so far.
What's the D squad meant to that development? You get out here on an everyday basis, you have to go against, quote, what they call the scout team group. What kind of look have they given you week in and week out with their work ethic?
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, Cliff brought it up today at the end of practice. The D line of the D squad was getting after it. They were causing problems, and it makes us better, and it gets us ready for Saturday. So that's a big part of the practice week and getting us ready.
All right, we're going to end it on this. I want Ross, our producer, to try to throw up one of the rushing touchdowns. Doesn't matter which one. Actually, let's go the first one against Auburn, because this was your first career touchdown in the Penn State uniform. What was going through your head as you landed in the end zone right here?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, the ball's on the 2, and I didn't have to jump until the 1.5 or 1 yard line. So the offensive line pushed them back at least a yard. When in the goal line, that's what you need. And then I went up and I was in. And I just wanted to get the ball to ref and thank all those big dudes up front for pushing them back, pushing 300-pounders back a whole yard.
Now, I'll tell you on this one, I'll tell you exactly what Jack Ham said on the radio with me. He said, that was a Rome with some attitude.
That's Tyler Warren, a redshirt freshman tight end here at Penn State University. Appreciate your time. Enjoy your night.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Ty.
Once again, Penn State will take on Indiana this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on ABC inside Beaver Stadium, as it will be the Penn State Whiteout, or the Penn State Stripeout. I'm so used to saying
Stripeout.
Stripeout. Make sure you know exactly which color you're supposed to wear.
See the picture on the right?
Whether that is blue or white, make sure to log on to gopsusports.com and make sure exactly which color you should wear to this contest. And fans, don't forget that there are some tickets still available. So if you are curious about potentially coming to this game between Penn State and Indiana, go on to gopsusports.com and see if you can make that happen as a part of your Saturday evening in State College. Why not, too?
Well, exactly. In fact, this is what we do every Wednesday night. We tell you right away, since we're talking about it, download your tickets now. Since we're talking about it, if you have a need to transfer, why don't you just do it now? That way, when you get to Saturday, you can just relax because it's all taken care of.
Exactly. And as Steve was just saying, download those mobile tickets to your Apple Wallet or Google Pay. And a part of the game day process, don't forget to know exactly where you're going when it comes to parking. There's another look at the parking map, so whether you're coming from the north, east, south, or west, depending on your exact parking location, make sure that you are well aware of where you are going.
They've done a great job with signage all around this area. So if, for example, you have an E-Pass, for example, there is signage saying you're on the E route coming in. Just follow it in, take care of business, and just enjoy your day and the event that is Penn State football.
I got you last week on the last one. Do you know what's coming next?
It's coming next?
Yep. All right, clear bag policy. Here we go. Clear bag policy. 2 for 2 on Trick and Steve on that one.
He gets me on the clear bag every
Beaver
time.
Stadium clear bag policy. If you are coming in with some sort of bag, make sure that it is clear so that you can take those items in. Small clutches or wristlets are also acceptable inside Beaver Stadium. So those are the 3 keys for game day. Make sure you download those mobile tickets ahead of time. Know exactly where you're going when it comes to parking. And then if you are going to bring anything inside the stadium, to please use one of those clear bags. And don't forget, on Saturday, join us for the Unrivaled pregame show. Myself and Steve Jones will have the ramp up to kick off for you on that one, just outside of Beaver Stadium, right there at Team Arrival on the stage. It's been an unreal scene for that pregame show.
Crowds have been phenomenal. And I think that now they're hitting this part of the schedule right here where each and every game. And I'll relate a quick story. Old friend of mine, and I talked to him yesterday, and people know, his name Peter King, NBC Sports. So I'm talking to Peter yesterday, and he said, that home field advantage is the greatest home field advantage I've seen in a long time. He said, I watched the whiteout from start to finish. He said, I don't normally watch college football games start to finish. He said, that's the greatest I've ever seen.
Peter King, that's not a nobody, to say the least. Some high praise for this Penn State football program, the game day atmosphere. All right, let's go back to Penn State and Indiana before we wrap this thing up. We heard from head coach James Franklin. We just visited with redshirt freshman tight end Tyler Warren. Now let's take a quick dive, your X factor, into this game between Penn State and Indiana.
Well, the crowd's part of it. The crowd's part of it, but I also think another part of it's going to be discipline up front. That's why I say that discipline up front. Indiana is a team, Mitch, that hard counts on offense. Now, how much they're able to do it with this crowd, obviously, will be one. But watch their defense. They take their front and they shift them all the time. You need good discipline up front. Let them shift all they want. You just don't budge, and then you take care of your business.
Penn State and Indiana this Saturday inside Beaver Stadium as Penn State closes out a 4-game homestand. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. Primetime TV again, ABC. And fans, if you are wanting to come to this game for the Penn State Stripeout, please join us. Go on to gopsusports.com, buy those tickets, and come be a part of the greatest atmosphere in all of college sports. That's going to do it for this edition of the PSECU Weekly Game Preview. We'll see you Saturday.
This is the day. We will know a whole lot by the time the dust settles.
Welcome back to Happy Valley. Everything matters. That's where we win right here. Not on the field.
For where we want to be at the end of the season starts with our mentality and our attention to detail today.